All right, so you want to get a grip on Python like really fast. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like Python is just everywhere these days. We found this PDF called Y6 Intro to Python KO.pdf.
Okay.
And I got to say, when I first saw that title, I thought, is this like for kids?
Yeah.
But then you start reading it and bam, it's talking about AI and machine learning.
Right.
So today on this deep dive, we're going to see if we can take Python from that really simple stuff
Okay.
to how it can be used to like make computers think.
Yeah, it's kind of deceptive. Python is often called like a beginner's language, but then you see it used for all of this incredibly complex stuff.
Exactly. Like, how does that even work? So this PDF is full of terms like algorithm and variable and loop.
Uh-huh.
Those sound kind of techy.
Yeah. They're definitely words that we use in the field, but the concepts themselves aren't actually that complicated.
Okay.
So let's take something like making a cup of tea.
Okay.
The steps that you take in order to make that cup of tea, that's your algorithm.
Okay.
You wouldn't pour in the milk before you boil the water, right?
Right. That would be a disaster.
Exactly. Total chaos in your mug.
So computers are really that literal. Like you have to tell them things in a very specific order or everything just breaks.
Yeah, precisely. And that's where the coding part comes in.
Okay.
Python helps us write those instructions in a really specific way.
Gotcha. So what about this word variable?
Okay, so variable, you can think of it like this. Imagine a recipe and it says add spice amount of cinnamon.
Okay.
That spice amount, that can change, right?
Yeah, depending on if you like a lot or a little.
Exactly. And so that spice amount, that's your variable, but instead of it being for like cinnamon or whatever, it's for values that the computer is working with.
So it's like a placeholder, but for code.
Yeah, you got it. And that makes the whole program way more flexible.
Okay, and what about this word loop?
A loop is basically doing the same thing over and over again.
Okay.
So like in our tea example, you would keep stirring until all of the sugar dissolves.
Okay.
In code, a loop keeps running until a specific condition is met.
So like if this, then that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm getting these basic concepts, but there's still one thing that I don't understand.
What's that?
How do we get from these kind of simple ideas to AI? Like the PDF mentions that Python can be used for things like speech recognition.
Right.
But that just seems like such a huge leap. Like how do we get from point A to point B?
It is a big leap, but it's also not as big as you might think.
Okay.
So remember we were talking about how computers need really specific instructions?
Yeah.
Well, speech recognition basically relies on breaking down sounds into data.
Okay.
Then you have to find patterns in that data and match those patterns to specific words.
So it's like the computer has this giant library of sound patterns.
Exactly.
And Python is what's helping it sort through all of that.
Yeah, and the program also needs to be able to adjust based on things like accents or background noise.
Right, because like my accent is different from yours.
Exactly.
So how does it deal with that?
Well, that's where variables come in.
Oh, okay.
Variables allow the program to adapt and learn.
Wow. So I'm really starting to see how all of these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
Like algorithms and variables and loops
Yeah.
can all be used to build something as complex as a computer. Understanding what I'm saying right now.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And to think that this is just like scratching the surface of what Python can do.
Right. The real power of programming comes from combining all of these different elements in creative ways.
Which actually brings me to something else that I thought was really interesting in the PDF.
What's that?
They talk about remixing code.
Oh, yeah.
And they give this example of a simple Python script that displays the times tables. So think of it, what if you took that code, but instead of displaying all of the times tables, you only wanted to see the even numbers?
Okay, yeah. So you could add a condition to the loop, instructing it to only print a number if it's divisible by 2.
Okay, I think I get that.
It's like when we were talking about the tea, if you're using honey, you have to stir it until it dissolves.
So only do this step if this other thing is true. So we're already starting to see how we can change these little pieces of code to get totally different results.
Yeah, it's like having a set of tools, and then you can combine those tools in tons of different ways to build all kinds of things.
That's super cool.
It is, and that's really what makes programming so interesting. You just have to understand those core concepts, and then you can apply them in creative ways, and who knows, you might even create the next big AI breakthrough.
From times tables to like a technological revolution.
Exactly.
Well, that's all the time that we have for today.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Python. We hope you learned something new and maybe you're even inspired to try out some coding yourself.
It's a lot of fun.
It really is. All right, we'll catch you next time.
See you later.
Bye.